Okay, well, welcome to Watercolor Studio 42, and I wanted to show you something that I worked on after I got home. Actually, not the same day, but I started this last week. It's supposed to be, white Easter lilies, and sometimes if you let the painting dry out really thorough overnight, it shows its true colors, how it has settled in. And normally everything gets lighter. So this looked really kind of like a horror show to me when I looked at it the next day, and I said, boy, I gotta work on this and see if I can pull it out. I've had situations where I've had a painting that I'll put aside and then look at it maybe a month or two later and do a minor little touch up here and there, and it comes out pretty well. I had one time that won Best of Show that I had put aside. And so you never know. You never know about it. So I never throw anything I do away. And probably that's one of my problems about collecting so much. But the thing is that you want to save your artwork. If you take a class sometime, save what you've done in the first week and second week, so forth, third week, how many weeks you do the class. But save the work and see if you've improved from the first time until, you're finishing up. And you probably will. You probably will. Or should, I hope. So now watercolor can be a little bit tricky because it does funny things when the paint settles into the paper. And so what I've done here is I had this empty area down in here, and it had too much green in it, and it dried out so obvious, and everything else was a little bit skimpy. So to salvage it, I just used white acrylic paint. Fill this in here with white, let it dry, and then repainted over it. And I didn't put another blossom tulip flower in, but I put one that was sort of like the bulb starting to form before it opened, and to fill in that space in here and so forth. And then I put some extra blue in because I had too much greenish yellow. It was too much like this color up in here. So I worked on it, then outlined the flowers for the most part with just regular pen, one of these Sharpie pens. Just went around with the ink. You want to use permanent ink so that it doesn't bleed into any of the other areas. And if you were to paint in there, it wouldn't smudge if you got a little bit of paint on the black. Sometimes I do a picture with a black outline marker and then paint it in, like you would a coloring book type of thing. So, but anyways, I wanted to show you how I doctored this up as best I could. It's far from being one of my better ones, but nevertheless, you have to sometimes go with whatever comes out. And so, like I said, sometimes you can salvage it. Oh, stay there. Sometimes you can salvage them, and sometimes you can't. So that's the way it goes. Oh, another thing too, I just wanted to remind folks, if you're starting out painting, you don't have to buy an awful lot of brushes. Even though I have a lot of brushes, but they're about the same size and shape and so forth, that do about the same thing. So, but I collect a lot of them because I let my students borrow them if they need a brush here and there. But I would recommend always a flat brush, flat across the hair part, and this is about an inch. This is good for when you're applying larger areas of water, you know, a wash or whatever, for the background. And then another brush would be probably, this is called a round, and this is a number 10. And that kind of falls in between. The numbers go from 0, I don't know if that was 0, but they go from 1 to up to 40 or so, as far as size goes. But this is about a 10. And usually what comes with the paint box is usually a number 7. That's a very common number 2. But I go with one that's a little bit larger. And you want to get a brush that has some resilience to it. In other words, when you bend the hairs back, see it bounce back, it holds its shape. And then another one that you should have, this is for the extra little fine lines, and it has several names. It can be called a liner brush, or scripto, or a rigger. A rigger is probably one of the more common names for the brush, because it does all the ropes and rigging on a boat. That's how the brush got its name, all those little fine lines. So those 3. And you can get them in different sizes. If you want to get a small flat brush, you can. All the brushes have different sizes. And another one that I didn't include, but it's like a fan brush too, like a little fan, like a little fan shape, and you know, you fan yourself with. And but I don't use that very often, so I wouldn't say you needed it really. So I know a lot of people buy a lot of brushes, but they're usually basically the same size, and they do about the same thing, you know, and you don't need to buy a lot. As far as paint goes, you need your 3 primary colors. You need a red, yellow, and a blue. And with these 3, they make up all the other colors that you can think of, you know, like I usually put the yellow at the top, yellow, leave a well empty, and then you got your red and yellow and red mixed together make orange. If you go this way, yellow to the blue, you get green, and if you go across from the red to the blue, you get purple. So you get those secondary colors, and then you can get all the colors in between by varying the mixes. But if you put too many together, what's going to happen is you're going to end up with something like a gray or a dark color. Okay, so now let's see what we can do here. I'm going to have a shot of water here before we get started. Sometimes I do artwork that goes along with the holidays, and I think this coming Friday is St. Patrick's Day, so that you always think of clovers and leprechauns and all that type of thing. Over in Ireland, of course, there's a lot of interesting architecture, you know, some of the older castles and things. Some of them are in ruin today, but they still exist to some extent. So anyways, I'm going to just kind of start off here. Now, I'm going to start like maybe like a Picasso here, and just draw very light in pencil first. Now, I'm going to start off with a clover. Let's see where we can put a clover. Why don't we just start with a clover somewhere in here, like this, and come around and put the bottom in like that. So I usually draw things, this is being cautious. I do it light in pencil first, and then I can go over if it looks okay, I'll just go over it with my marker, okay? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to start out with what I just drew and just follow that pencil mark. It's going to go off, come back in here somewhere, and probably down this way, okay? So there's my clover. Now, if I did this like maybe like some of these artists that do these abstract things, I could make something out of this. And I'm going to see if I can make something out of this. Maybe like a Van Gogh or Picasso or whatever. We'll see what I can do. Now, should I use my pencil again? Probably it's safer to use the pencil and to see what I'm going to be sketching in. Let's put we'll put a nose on inside the clover. We could put a couple of eyes up in here. So there's almost like a spooky ghost there. And then let's see what else I can do. I can have another image, like a lot of these artists do a superimposer. I don't know how, well, yeah, I can do that. Come down into here. Okay, and this can have an eye. We'll put an eye over here, and maybe a mouth. He can have his nose kind of go into that image like that. Okay, so this looks like a person's side profile now. And we'll see what else. I got some empty space up in here I can utilize. Now, I could show, maybe I could put a castle. I could build like a little village or something in the picture, maybe for a background. Or I could see what else I can do. Can I do another face? Could this be a nostril, a nose? Here's the mouth there. Maybe an eye, so a little bit kind of put in there. There's a side view coming into the painting this way. Could I do something? Ooh, this could be a nose again. And this is the eye looking down this way. Okay. And there's the top of the head. So I've got faces. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know what I can do with this here. Maybe just leave it open. Put some, I was going to say, put some landscape in there, a couple of trees or something. Probably could. So how about making another clover? Maybe make that into like a tree. Okay, you got a tree back there. So now, a lot of times, I used to do this for my classes once in a while. I would start something, I would scribble something on a piece of paper, next to nothing. Really, it would be just a few lines here and there, and they'd have to move the paper around and see if they could find an image or a picture of some sort. And some of them came out very clever, very clever. But I think you have to get used to using your imagination and probably looking at a lot of images of this, that, and the other thing, and to do some of this. Okay, now, I'm just going to do some outlining here. We said this is going to be an eye looking down this way, and this could be another eye. This is going to be a nose. Here's a nose in here, and oh, here's the little tree. This could be clover back up in there. Okay. Oops, it's kind of distorted a little bit. Okay. Now, here we go. Maybe that's an eye. This could be possibly part of a nose there. Oh, it's connected out to there. And then there's the mouth. Now, you see these images coming out of nowhere, aren't they? Huh? here's a mouth in here. Now, I put this nose, it's a little, well, I could make a nose up in there too. But if I want, why don't we do that? No. I think I'm just going to make the nose come into here, like that. How's that? And then we got the other eye. We put an eye back there, number 6 on its side, and an eyebrow, okay? All right. Eyebrow, little circle in here, circle in there. Now, he could be wearing glasses, too. You could put eyeglasses on, just put the bows on the side, and here's the top of the head, and it's also the ground for the tree. My tree looks a little bit distorted there, but that's okay. Let's bring this back out to the edge. Now, there's some open ends here, so let's close it in. Anything we see open, we just close it in. Okay, we can do different things with this. These are fun to do, by the way. A little bit more challenging in some respect, but you probably might have an idea in mind at first, you know. Like I was thinking, St. Patrick's Day, so here's the clover. So I did start with some sort of an idea, a clover. Now, I didn't know I was going to make the clover into a face, but you can. Awful big ears or fat cheeks, right? Right through there. Then there's a side view, and you could put a little bit more detail into that, close some of these lines in maybe. And then go from that route on, and so forth. Now, if this is going to be starting off with a clover, I might make the face like a soft greenish color, okay? And we'll see what happens with that. So I'm just going to today use my palette. I'm just going to use my primary colors, the yellow, red, and blue. And any other colors would be just mixing amongst those three. If you put all three together equally, you get black. It turns dark. Okay? So anyways, now, I don't know what else I want to add to this that would be something to do with maybe St. Patrick's Day. Probably it wouldn't. It wouldn't have much to do with that. I'm closing all my loose ends in here. Probably could do something out with a nostril there. Let's see what else. I don't know how much else. Maybe put this a little darker in here for the pupil. Yeah, looking down, sort of. This one's looking up. Okay, let's just go around here a little bit. And this eye here, just kind of make it more of an oval shape. Inside, it looks like an A. You tip the letter A on its side, you can make an eye. So anyway, that's another thing I do sometimes. I just take numbers and letters, put them down, and make something by connecting the letters and the numbers together to do something with it. You can try to think of a subject that you could work. Oops, I'm going to connect this. I just want to make sure this is not open-ended, so I'll just bring it up to there, close it in. Okay. Now, so you can, like I said, you could use numbers and letters, and it's kind of like a game thing. You could put a number or letter shape on the paper, and it could be A, B, C, D. How many people in the room, you know? Give them one of the letters of the alphabet, and they can turn it around, tip it around, and see what they can make out of it. Usually it's a capital letter, you know, the A shape that I would use, and B and C, and so forth, and see if they can make something out of it. Okay, so now I think I've got this pretty well down, and The only thing I have in here that might be a little bit of an open space would be probably this part in here. And then to go from there. Now, usually in the picture, I usually do the background, but today, I think I'll just start off and just do the face. We'll get the clover in there first and go from there. Okay, so a clover would require, I'm just going to use this brush over here. I could use this one, doesn't matter. The clover would probably be using yellow. We'll put a little bit of yellow in there. And blue. And you mix yellow and blue together, you get green. Yellow and blue. Okay, yellow and blue. Yellow, by the way, has been very popular lately. You see a lot of TV shows, some of the women come out blue gown, not blue, but yellow gowns, but also blue too. Okay, let's see. We'll go with this route. Okay, I'm just putting water down to kind of spread the paint around easier. Okay, now when you're mixing colors, always take the lightest color first, okay? So in one of these empty wells here, I'm just going to put some yellow. Now, probably it's safe to either clean your brush or use another brush for the blue. And you're going to take a little bit of that blue and steer it around into the yellow. And hopefully it turns green. Now, if it doesn't turn green, we're in trouble. Okay, here we go. I'll make sure I use blue, right? There you go. All right, and then take a little bit more yellow, steer that around, and we'll get to a nice softer green. Okay, so now I'm going to leave the eyes white, so we won't paint that part in. It's a real soft green, it's pretty green though. Go around the eyes. Go around this one, and then we can paint in. Now, if you don't want it to be all green at first, you can always change it and make it a little darker, like maybe the shadow side, you know, that type of thing. Now I've got too much blue, right? So we've got to put some more yellow into the. Here we go, get a real darker green. Okay, go around here. You can go right off onto the tape and then come back in over here. All right, bring it around. Now this could be the shadow side, so give this side of the head a little bit more shadow. And come down into here, lift up, come back out. There we go. Okay, now we'll finish it off over on this side. Now this side we can do that a little bit more, a lighter shade of almost a mustard color with that particular color. See, it makes a difference a lot of times. If you just use a flat color, it's not quite as interesting. So that's why I kind of use different shades, green, yellow, so forth. Okay, we're coming around a bend here. All right, you go over the line, it doesn't really matter that much. Just clean it up a little bit. Okay, now I've got that in there. Now while I'm using this, why don't we just do the little tree up in here? The tree is supposed to be a clover leaf. Kind of made it a little bit distorted here. Yeah, we'll just fill that in around the bend here. There we go. Okay, around down through here. And there. You got that clover in there. Now, it might be interesting too, while we're thinking about it, we could put some other little clover type shape in there too. Now, this face here, this side profile, you can make that just maybe an ordinary flesh tone, I guess. Take a little bit of yellow again, and a little bit of red. Not that much. Okay, we get an orange, and we just fill this one in. Again, save the eye. Go around the white of the eye, and just push the paint back. Now this one here can have a little bit of shading also. Get orange. Let's come around the bend here a little bit. Okay, we'll put some orange in there. Okay, now if I had wet this a little bit more, probably the paint would slide a little bit easier. Let's just wet a little bit down in here. Okay, bring this up here. Now we're going to take a little bit more yellow, a little bit more red, and let's make this a little bit darker here. Okay, there you go. I don't want to get too much into the other one. That's still a little bit wet there. Okay, I'm going to add some water. Put some water, more water in the brush. Now, the beauty of watercolor, you can make the colors stretch out quite a while when you're painting. Yeah, a little bit down here. Give it some more contrast there. Okay. Yeah. Now, if you wanted to make the little darker shadow, or put hair on the person, you could put some hair on the top of the head here. Shade that in. If you want. Yeah, have it come down on the sides. You could kind of do different things with it. This one could have a little bit of hair too. Oops. Don't need too much. Just a little bit up around the top. Yeah. Okay, now let's see what else we got to do. We could finish in here. Now, interesting. we take a little bit of blue, put it in the red. I don't know if this is going to turn purple or not. Not bad. It's a very dark color anyway. Quite dark purple. Got a little bit of blue in it. Come around the bend here. Okay. Now, if the brush is pushing a little bit high, just put some water on it, and that will spread the paint out a little bit more. You can go off the edge here. Here we are. Okay. Now, it's pretty obvious that this is going to be more of a little cartoon characters here. They're sort of like cartoon characters. Okay. Oh, I know what. While we're still using that purple, let's paint this corner. Right up in the corner. Again, you can kind of paint your way out of the corner. Bring this around here. Across the top. Fill that right in. You can go right off onto the tape. Okay, there you go. See if I can go off the paper with that. Yeah, just wiggle the brush around a little bit. Fill it in. Sometimes you can leave some white showing through, but or later on, if it's an afterthought, you can just take some white paint and fill it in. Just wanted to get that smoothed out over it and make sure I got everything covered here. Yeah, I guess it's okay. Oh, all right. So you kind of counterbalance the corners. Now, see what we can do over here. This one here, just going to wet the paper a little bit. I have a little bit of blue in the brush. Okay. All right. Now, we'll take this one. Just take some of your orange. A little bit into that, and you get a nice soft beige color. Remember I said orange and blue make brown. You might want to take I don't know if you need a little bit more red in that or not. Okay, go right off on the tape. All right, let's put a little bit of more color into that. Now, I enjoy mixing colors a lot of times, on the surface of the paper itself. You can do that, and okay. I don't know if I got enough orange here to work. See what I can do. Yeah. Now, that color is a little bit closer to the green, so I might want to do something else with that a little bit later on. I think I'm better off if I wet this first. Just put some water on it. Of course, the brush has some paint in it. So you get sort of a pink. But if you wanted to make that a little bit darker, I would just make it a little bit more, put more red on the brush and make that color come out a little bit darker there. Again, you can go right off the paper onto your tape. Okay. Now, another thing you can do with this is when you get through, you can always touch it up. Once it dries, you can go over it with the marker. The only trouble is the markers don't work if the paint's wet, or the paper's wet at all. You just won't do anything on wet paper. Okay, got that in there. Now, I suppose we could make that maybe a little bit of a blue sky. I don't want it the same color. Let's see if we can get it lighter. No, that's not bad. We just wiggle some of that paint around. You make sort of a sky color in here. And we can repeat that down in here. Okay. Now, I want to maybe add another line. Separate that. Yeah, I guess I could get away with that right in here. Yeah. Okay. And what we can do here is just fill that in with a little bit more of the sky background. And we can justify filling this in up in here. Wow. Okay. Here you go. Okay, now we got to get some more color down in here. Let's make this a little bit get a little bit more color on this one. Okay. Oh, I don't want that. Let's take that out. Make that a little bit lighter. There you go. This is part of another head I forgot. Get carried away here. Sort of like another face that could be there. And the eyeball, we can bring that in a little bit more. Fill that in. Okay. Now, we can put a little bit more color in through here. Now, I've only used red in one place. I've used the blue one place, green a little bit. So we might want to just echo a little bit more, whoops, red up in here. Go around here. I call echoing when you paint in the pictures sometime. Now, we'll see what we got. Okay. Now, what I want to see is make sure I don't have too many colors bumping each other that might be the same value. I could probably make this into, I had it's thinking another man's face, but why not? Oopsie. Oh, take the cover off, works better. We could probably make that into a lady, would make a little bit of longer hair. This guy here could have a couple of little shoots coming out. Get more cartoonish here. Okay. Now. All right. Well, I think I want to get a little bit more color right up in here. So to match that corner to the this corner, and this to this to that. Okay. All right. Now I want to do something in there. I think we'll just make that a little darker blue. Now, as far as how much more detail you want to put in, this kind of depends on the person, you know, the individual that might be working on this. This looks kind of funny in here, a little bit. So I might have to do something with that. Use my imagination here. Let's see. Kind of lose the shape of that a little bit. How about, I don't know if this is dry enough. Help it along. I might be able to, it feels fairly dry. You might be able to sneak another little palm, not a palm, but a clover. I think a palm leaf. Yeah, something like that. And the arm. All right. Yeah, put some waves in. All right. This almost looks like Mark Chagall did all these mosaic things, mobiles and all that stuff. And he used to have these floating figures in the sky and all that. And that's starting to look like his style. Things floating down around. But I don't know what else I can do with this thing. That nose looks funny, doesn't it? Kind of vanishing. I don't know if I want that to be that dark up in here. When you want to lighten it up, you just wet the paper Just put water on it. Wet it, reactivate the paint, and then take one of your paper towels and blot it. You can take a lot of the color out. Interesting how that works. I'm not crazy about that particular corner. Get a little bit lighter. I don't want the corners to look that, get that much attention. I probably should have made it lighter. I don't know how that's going to work there. It looks like a little blur. Okay. Yeah. We could always doctor this up a little bit more as we go along. Now, what I would do with this is make it a little bit more pronounced. The contour when you draw, make it a little bit heavier around the outline and so forth. Your little faces kind of show up here. Now, a lot of times, worst comes to worst, I take this particular picture and I can cut it out and rearrange it onto another piece of paper and make a totally different background. Maybe less of a problem in there with the design of it. So sometimes when you're just doing this type of thing, use a hit and miss, what you do with it. But I'm not quite sure what this could be. A conversation between the clover and the person, and the other people kind of listening in, or whatever it might be. Symbolism there. So anyhow, now, like I said, you can add whatever you want to it. You can put dimples in there, do something with the eyeball. This face here doesn't show up quite as well, so you might want to do something else with that, change that a little bit. The clover could be a little darker. We could kind of rework that a little bit more right in here. Paint that in a little bit darker. I don't know if that would make a difference, but anyways, you try that. So that's how that works. Now, a lot of times I put tape around the outside so it creates a false margin. And you can take the tape off very carefully. I usually let it dry longer, but you can pull the tape off, see what we have. It's really, it's a cartoonish type of picture, more cartoon than anything else. Oops. Can't catch one end, I'll get the other one. There we go. Make sure your fingers are clean when you pull the tape off. So I got a little paint on that. Oh, wow. Still kind of tough, isn't it? I try to fold it so that the tape is folded back, so when I pull on it, it's not going to tear the paper. I hope not. Yeah. All right. Okay. Now, you can either try to clean that off, but it's blue. So the best thing to do for that one is take a brush and just take some of your white and just hit that put enough white on it until it disappears. Blue is a tough color to hide. So, I may have to get a little bit more white here. That's the trouble with acrylic. It does dry out fast. And it's not like watercolor. You can reactivate it by wetting it. What you have to do is just come in stronger with white to cover it up. There you go. Disappears. Yeah. So now, look like a cartoon character. And you could have them saying something, saying, how'd you know it was St. Patrick's Day? By looking at me. One of those, right? I guess. So anyhow, but you try it at home. A lot of times you could take some paper at home, and you could start off with just. I used to do Picasso with a number 7. I start off with a 7 upside down like this, and backwards, right? Here's the nose. Then I come down and make a 5 backwards, or a 3. And there's the chin. Come back up into here. You can make the cheek. Then there's an eyeball. However you want it to work. Come over here for the ear. Okay, then you can come across. You can come across here, pick it up over here, and then you could have another face, put another face in here, like a part of a profile, and have the face with the eye, put an eye in there somehow. And these two characters could be interlocking together, and you could do all sorts of strange things, So, but what you have to do here, just like that's kind of open-ended, so just close it off. Just close it in there. If this is open-ended, just extend this out to the edge like that. Okay? So that you've got these two integrated figures talking to each other, I guess. This could be a beard. Put something like a beard. And that's an ear. Maybe his eye is in here somewhere, I don't know. Some sort of a face. Now this one here, you could go over it with a little stronger marking for the nose. So you could do all sorts of things with this. And then you can turn your paper around, look at it different ways, and do different things with it. So you can have a lot of fun. And you don't have to have really an awful lot of drawing ability if you just know how to do letters, capital letters, B, C, O's, and L shapes, M, things like that. You can do an interesting little design, okay? So I'm running out of time a little bit here today, so I'll pick up a brush and say, I guess brush is up, and we'll see you next time, okay? We'll have something else cooking up by then. I got a flower show coming up too next week. That should be fun. Okay, there you go.